Sorry for jumping that on everyone earlier before Jen's speech. There's really never a good time to just press, so I just do it. So I do apologize to you, Shay. I do apologize for that. I will try and keep this evaluation positive. I don't want to be eerie like my background. So, Jen, I want to start off by thanking you for letting me be your evaluator today. As you know, you are one of my favorite speakers, not only in the group, but that I've had the pleasure of getting to watch. And, I've had a lot of opportunities to see other speakers, and I honestly do think you're one of the better ones that I've seen in person. So I think if you ever wanted to go beyond the limits of our little Zoom meeting here, I think you would do a wonderful job. And I think that might be something you look into the future. And I know that that's why you wanted to expand your time for today's speech as well, to kind of prepare yourself for upcoming speeches that you might be giving, but also opportunities that might present themselves in the future. So, just for everyone that isn't aware, we use these evaluations as a way to better ourselves the day we give the speech. Because, in my opinion, I think we get the best feedback immediately after we give these kinds of speeches. So, the way that I like to do it, I like to list the things that I love, the things that I think you could work on, and then a challenge at the end. And I think for me personally, that's how I love getting feedback on my speeches, because it really feeds into what I'm trying to get out of giving that speech that day, but also what I'm trying to get out of Toastmasters as a whole. So, Jen, let me go over the things that I have written down here. The things that I liked or loved was great use of technology. I'm always a big fan of use of a slideshow. Loved all of the pictures, most of which had you in them, which gives a personal touch to all those pictures. It's not just a hiking trail picture or a picture of hiking shoes or the camelbacks. All of your pictures seem to have a personal touch to them. So I especially enjoyed that aspect of it. I could really hear and feel the passion you have for hiking, which that's probably my favorite aspect of a person's speech, is when I can feel the passion coming through the screen. You use plenty of humor, the she we and the she stuff, which that just made me laugh because it's not something I would have thought of, because of course I'm not a female, but it's obvious when you start talking about it. It's like, well, of course you'd have to pee if you're going on a 14,000-mile hike up to Pikes Peak. You're not just going to go up there and go all the way back down without having to use the restroom. So that I found that part extremely funny. But I also found the speech extremely informative. Not just I mean, from the dual camelbacks that you use, the smaller one you use for when you're hiking in Paladuro versus the big one that you used, and then carrying two of them on your trip up to Pikes Peak and all that good stuff. I love the information that you put throughout the speech. You did a great job of filling your window, and that's something that a lot of us have a hard time doing, on especially in this Zoom setting. It's hard to get your bearings on where the edges of this box are. I also love the fact that you use props on top of the slideshow. So not only were you using pictures to get your point across, but you also had props with you to kind of give the secondary information and things like that during the speech. Great use of vocabulary used. Great, and of course, you know me, I'm a sucker for quotes at the end of speeches, so I love that as well. I thought the flow of the presentation was excellent. There were really no starts and stops. And you did a great job of transitioning from topic to topic, which again can be such a hard thing when you're putting these speeches together. You stayed within your given time limit, which you and I both struggle with sometimes, but it's really hard to do when you start doing these longer speeches as well. My last speech was 10 to 12 minutes, and I felt like it just feels like you're going on and on and on, and you feel like it's impossible for you to stay within that time frame. So I love that part of it too. And then your eye contact was wonderful as well. So I didn't see you looking off screen or away from the camera. I think again that has to do with the passion you had for the speech itself. So great on that as well. The only thing that I wrote down to work on was there were a few crutch words, but they were really at the beginning of the speech, and they seemed to disappear the further along into the speech you were. And I think that was just a comfort thing, which is again one of the things that we all have to work on is crutch words. I know I'm sure I've used some in this uh, I just used one right there as part of my evaluation, but it's just something that if we point it out, hopefully we can start eliminating those from the speeches themselves. And the challenge I would give you is I would love to see you expand on this topic in future speeches. So whether that's a favorite hike or a memorable hiking trip, just something along those lines to give us a little bit more of a window into this aspect of your life. But again, I thank you for letting me be your evaluator, and I will hand it back to our general evaluator, Sarah Orr.
Thank you, Braden.